I'm going to Smart Cincy next time.
I saw it. It was nice.
Next time they have a Smart Cincy, I'll go.
Oh. All right.
I would definitely recommend you do that. I would definitely recommend you do that also, because a lot of the a lot of the startups that go through the Cincinnati's incubator program all show up to Smart Cincy.
For today, download advanced. What? No, you're good.
No.
It's unless you don't have Java on your machine.
And then,
which I just assumed everyone
for those of you that haven't seen our lab, we can walk by after this. We'll see it because it's pretty.
Give Franco a part number.
Did you give him that that link?
Yeah.
Cool. So he has it.
For the rack.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So Cyber EC meeting 51. Let's wait a little longer because I want to see if Ryan, my roommate's coming through.
Yeah, or Jai, or who else? We know Alex isn't going to be here. He said he's leaving for Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's what he said.
What's up, man? Hey. We're gonna wait a little bit longer. We're gonna wait a little bit longer.
You know, I might consider that if they have one of those brownie pizzas or something. You know? I have that, you know,
I thought we weren't gonna have people today. This is very good intelligence.
Like your certification is ready. I'm like, this is official.
Well, dude, it's raining right when I head back here.
Oh yeah, is it? It's raining now.
It just started.
Just started.
It's like a steamy rain.
I guess we. Yeah. Anyone else play Destiny in here? I guess it's.
I did.
So long. I was playing a new expansion that just came out yesterday. I started at like midnight, so I didn't stop until 7 a.m. today. I was like,
Destiny 2?
yeah.
Thank you letters like crazy.
They're still coming out.
Thank you letters and then getting ready for grad school.
Yeah, but only Destiny 1 was 4 expansions. Then they came out with Destiny 2, only
It's like
they just had their second expansion.
It's weird walking back here since I don't go here anymore technically.
It's not bad. Yeah. They changed some of the mechanics.
There's like this little more now.
You buy
Hey man,
I don't know how that works, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it all depends on how that very far thing, I imagine.
Because I know I checked, I think 2 days ago, but the services like box and we get all that UC or
So,
stuff.
you know how Destiny 1 yeah, a lot of the stuff that is remain active, you can edits remains active, like kind of indefinitely. A lot of the services do. So, don't quote me on it, but that's what I heard. Because you keep your email address, because you keep your email address.
It keeps us
Well, now that's all actually.
That's not fair to December.
So it's all
Yes. Yes, you're grinding for points, but I don't know.
It may or may not.
A random person moved from a specific skill set for that first step of buying the end.
That's stupid.
It's a lot more like orange.
So we're waiting for your roommate.
Exchange games. Well, Ryan's gonna be here really soon, so we can go ahead and get things started though.
Okay.
Because I think we have enough people now.
You probably want to spin.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it on. All right, cool. All right, so we're actually starting now. Let's get things kicked off today. So meeting 51. It's kind of nice. This is the 51st meeting because we ended up like meeting 50 and didn't have a meeting for a couple weeks. So I don't know. It's like lines up nicely. So we're covering reverse engineering, Android apps, and more today. Come on. There we go. Y'all are on our Slack. Announcements. So welcome back, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed your little time off. We're either extremely lazy or going to go on vacation or something. So it was nice. So B-sides, we were talking about a little earlier. It's this Saturday. I don't know if there's any tickets left, but if you have a ticket, who wants a ticket? I have a ticket. I have a ticket? Okay. You have a ticket, Corey?
I don't
No?
think I'm gonna be able to make it.
Not gonna be able to make it. All right, that's cool. So a lot of us are gonna be going to B-sides. So if you can find a ticket, you can also just show up without a ticket. You just won't get any of their free stuff. I think, who was it? I think you emailed. Yeah, and he told you that, the guy who operates.
He said if you show up and they think that they can fit you in, they'll just let people in for free, and you just won't get any of the free swag.
So you can still go in and check out the talks and hang out with us. So, feel free to come along. We would like to have as many people as we can get there as possible. If you're interested in a job in the security field, so many people show up to B-Sides. Really cool people. It's awesome to talk, and it's a great networking event, and they also go over some cool stuff. We finally have access to ERC 516. Got our lab finally. It's been a year. Yeah, we got a round of applause for that. Finally. It's been so long that they have promised this, and it's finally come to fruition. It's about damn time. So what we're waiting on are the server racks. They're the wrong size. But we have 4 Dell PowerEdge R730s and 4 Dell PowerEdge R730XD, which stands for dual Xeons. So really powerful pieces of hardware. I don't know the storage on them yet because we haven't plugged them in. But we have a rack that we can mount some of them in that was donated to us by Siemens. And then we're still waiting on some switches and desktop PCs. We're going to get like 8 to 10 of them. And then we're going to be meeting every single Tuesday at 6 to go in the lab and just work on stuff. So I think while we're waiting on the racks for the next coming weeks, we should talk about the architecture. And I think that we should get together and we can all just kind of discuss where we think it should go, what we think we should implement, how we think we should do it. I think it'd be an interesting place to start by like making server ISOs. We can all like try to manufacture a nice ISO that we can put on these servers. It has support for an ISO, yeah, for like puppetizing things. Puppet's something that y'all should research because it's awesome. So Think Cyber Fellowship. How many of you got interviews? It's just me, Hayden. You got an interview too? Forgot about that. So we'll see what happens. It's July 13th through 16th. Who will be the winner? That'd be cool. Maybe we'll all get to go and we'll have a great time in California. So partnership with Galwall is still in the works. I emailed them like weeks ago. I'm probably going to email them again. Other news too with partnerships, because I needed to add some things to this announcement. I forgot. I had my domestic studies tour the past week. I have a connection with the former CIO of the Department of Homeland Security, who was the CIO of the department, the IRS, and the current CEO of this company called Learning Tree. Learning Tree teaches government employees, and they give out certificates. Not just government employees, anyone who will pay them. So I talked to him about the idea of getting non-for-profit funding for us to actually have our certs paid for. So we have a connection on a pretty high level that might really be able to help us not only give us content to maybe bring to high schools, but also bring people out and train us. But like we might actually be able to get some serious certs, because I had a good conversation with them about that. So I just need to send the email. The NSA, I met with them. They're super pumped about what we're doing here, and I think one of them is going to be coming to our open house on like May 29th, whenever that's happening. Or I barely caught up with that, but they said that they're more than happy to help us and like work with us if we are very specific in what we want them to help us with. So if any of you have very specific ideas to what I can ask the NSA to help us with, let me know, and we can see if we can get some partnership with the NSA working. With the CIA, they were pretty interested as well, although I think everyone I talked to is undercover, because I don't believe anybody I talked to, I got their real name. It's all Jill B. and Mike and Mr. Smith. So I'll email the names I got, even though I don't know if they're actually going to respond at all. But I talked a little bit about our organization, and I think they would be interested in partnering with us and maybe collaborating on some content or something. I think it's going to be some of the same thing as the NSA. If we send them an email asking for very specific help, they could maybe help us out. And then FBI, they were very interested as well, and I have a contact there. And then I have another contact with Northrop Grumman in DC, who's the head of the Innovation Center at this place in DC, and they do a lot of really cool work, they take engineers from Northrop Grumman to have a cool idea, and they say, okay, we're gonna pull you over here, and we're gonna put you in this innovation center to work on some next gen technology. And there's some really cool stuff there. So there's a lot in the works. I just have to do a lot of emails. But if you guys have any recommendations and stuff I should say, I mean, what's up?
Do you have like a rough idea of what sort of help they're thinking about when they say that they're willing to offer help? Like,
I talked to them. I said, look, they said they're willing to either bring people out here if they have the funding. They're willing to help us design a CTF. They're willing to, I mean, they seem like they were really wanting to help, but due to bureaucracy, they need specific, like, requests. Otherwise, I don't think that it would go very high just because they'll probably have to deal with a lot of red tape.
Just give them a phone number and they'll report it for you.
Yeah. So, a lot in the works. Summer's going to be a really big time because we're going to be setting up the server and everything. And hopefully we can get all of these people that I've met, and hopefully that we all meet at B-Sides, because we should all be networking at B-Sides and talking about this. Maybe we can really start stepping up our corporate connections and sponsorships and stuff.
Hey, that's me.
It's all you, bro.
So, a bunch of work on the website, and now we have an actual domain name, cyber@uc.org. It's like soft launched, which means that it's live, but it's not done. The homepage still has like lorem ipsum text, but the new meetings archive is up, so I'll show that off. So all the meetings that we still have slides for, some of the really old meetings, the slides are lost to the sands of time. But all the ones we have slides and YouTube videos where it's available, and there's descriptions, and yeah, so that's all there.
I might have to look into that because I know that early on there wasn't any centralized way of actually pulling them together.
Yeah, I think it was like meeting 28 where someone was finally like, maybe we should make a folder for these.
Yeah. So anything before that, I think that we still have access to those. But we'll have to look into people who are working on those early ones.
Yeah. Also, I found the link for meeting 27, but it was deleted. I guess someone deleted meeting 27, so that one's just gone.
For meeting 27?
Huh?
I might have meeting 27 somewhere.
Why is it gone?
It's top secret.
What we need, AJ, is for you to go through and look at and see if you can find any of the ones that are missing, because you might have access to some of them that are missing. That just because for whatever reason you used it, but didn't share it at that time.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you have meeting like 1.
I have meeting 2, yeah. This is someone whoever was doing I just downloaded the meeting slides repo. Yeah.
What was
did an awesome job.
Yeah, what was our
I just downloaded that, and then I painstakingly went through them all and came up with a title. A lot of the early ones didn't have titles, so I had to make one up.
100 years ago, 120 years ago.
Yeah, shut up. The Jekyll requires that every entry have a date, and I didn't know what the dates were for these, so just leave me alone.
Been a while.
Yeah, long time between. It took a long time to get the 23rd.
The slides not have a date on them or anything like that.
The Google like slides, like I can get it from that, or I could pull it from like the Slack history, but a lot of them are just PDFs, and the only date on them is the date that they were committed to GitHub. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like it's fair that you can probably go back.
A lot like this is actually a guess. This is the date it should have happened. Probably there was a meeting that day, but like whatever.
Guess on the rest. Just guess. It don't matter.
if we can at least guess,
It doesn't
like,
matter if it's
year and
accurate or
month.
not. As
Yeah.
long as it's not 1990 or 1900.
I could make it so that 1900. It just doesn't show a date. I might do that. That's just I haven't got. Anyway, it's all on GitHub. I have now written up some thorough instructions on how to download and build the site yourself and how to make changes to it. So I'm really hoping that the whole point of using Jekyll is that it's a really easy system to hack on. It's just it's really easy to dive in. Like if you want to add something to the about page, it's just a markdown file. Like here's the about page. Like this is like anyone can edit this. You don't have to know anything about web development to edit this. And to make a blog post, it's like you just go to the posts folder and this is a blog post, and so it's really easy to. So if you're at all interested in adding anything to the site,
seriously all markdown.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. Some of it's not. Like the homepage is actually an HTML file because to do fancy stuff, you can't do that.
Seems like it's just a parser.
Huh?
Parse.
Yeah. It's for some of the fancy stuff, and like the meetings thing is sort of custom made a little bit, but it's a lot of it's marked down, and a lot of it that isn't marked down isn't too hard to edit anyway. So, but yeah, if anyone wants to try this, I'd appreciate it. Let me know if there's any issues with the guides here. It shouldn't be too hard, but there's always the thing I didn't. It's easy on my machine. I know how to set it up on my machine, and it's always. So yeah, and I've also got. I started making issues of to-do items. There's a few that are marked good first issue, which means if you're like, I want to help, but I don't know what, check out those issues. So yeah, that is all that I have on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Hayden.
Sure. Let's see. I think next is probably. Yeah.
Corey.
All right, so this past Sunday at our executives meeting, I was asking around for if anyone had anything in particular that they thought would be really cool. I don't know who to thank for that photo, but that was not me.
You're welcome.
And AJ brought up the exabyte data center that the NSA finished fairly recently out in Utah. That's the name right there. And it's really long. I'm not going to bother to read that whole thing. Between 4 buildings, they have 100,000 square feet of data center space. That's just the space for the racks and the servers and all that. The estimated capacity is supposed to be somewhere between 3 and 12 exabytes of data. That's a lot. For anyone who doesn't know about how big an exabyte is, 5 exabytes is estimated to encompass every word spoken in human language ever. 3 exabytes, though, I did some math, and it would be roughly 949 copies of the song Barbie Girl by Aqua.
949.
That's an important statistic.
I thought it was a pretty important statistic. That's why I did the math. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out about how big the size of the song Barbie Girl. No, I had to find a copy of Barbie Girl, download it, and then find something that would let me do math of that size.
This better be high quality Barbie Girl.
Yeah.
It can't be a little
So
bit
don't
wrong.
want any of that, you know,
The
Just
version I had, it was
imagine mini
it was about
Barbie
3.2 megabytes.
All right.
So
That'll do.
yeah. Just building the building itself cost about $1.5 billion. That's not counting any of the hardware in there. That's not counting what it costs to power it, which is apparently a constant draw of something like 65 million
They're
watts.
probably gonna have their own little nuclear power plant.
We are. Which, speaking of the power draw, though, that's actually one of the reasons why they chose Utah to build it in. First of all, it's like nothing around them, so there's plenty of room to expand, and I imagine that makes security quite easy. Incredibly low utility rates, so when you're trying to power a data center of that size, that's pretty important. The potential for natural disasters, they're not in Tornado Alley, they're not in an earthquake area, tsunamis, hurricanes, none of that. So it's fairly safe, and because they are so close to Salt Lake and I think the other one's just called Utah Lake. I don't know my geography. I'm sorry. So apparently it's relatively close to both of those, and so it's got easy access to either lake if it needs to draw water from them. And so that's a lot of the reasoning behind it.
One thing I want to add. Does anyone know how many terabytes are in an exabyte?
1 million.
1 million. There's 1 million terabytes in an exabyte, and 1,000 gigabytes in a terabyte.
Yeah, in 2013, I believe it was like 2 exabytes of data were added to the internet every day across the world. So,
Also, I noticed that the math probably doesn't actually add up, but on the face of it, it looks like the cost of the building is about the cost if you bought 3 exabytes worth of Barbie Girl on iTunes.
probably, yeah.
That's conspiracy, man.
That's what they're
If
going to
you look into this, you'll see that there was a lot of speculation that it was gonna hold like zettabytes and what are they, yettabytes or whatever, the one that begins with a Y.
Yoda, something.
Yeah, no, those were rather outrageous, it would seem. Significantly larger space would have been required in order to build that, and it would have taken more 1 terabyte hard drives than we would produce in 6 million years. In order to build one, it would have taken, I believe they said, all of Delaware would have had to be the size of the data center. If we were going to have a yottabyte data center.
Isn't a yottabyte a million exabytes?
Yeah. and apparently in order to be a yottabyte data center, it would have had to have been at least 2 yottabytes of data. So.
And well, there was a zettabyte of data in 2016 apparently. There's all human data ever.
This one has a little bit more about the stats speculated for it. Obviously, we don't know exactly what hardware is in there. We don't know exactly the size of their server racks. But that's a rough estimation.
By the way, the slides are already on the website, so if you want to click these links and follow along, you can literally do it right now.
The top one has a lot more information about the kind of the purpose and the reasoning behind building this data center, if you guys want to go a lot more in-depth on that. Yeah. So this next one I'm going to go into, just sticking with the NSA theme. Phone record surveillance, we've heard about it, probably at least a couple times a year. It's in the news. So last year, the number of phone records that was collected was actually triple from what it was in 2016. So that's a pretty big increase, but they were stating that this is not expected to be a trend. That the numbers are expected to fluctuate significantly on a year-to-year basis. They would not comment on why they were larger this year, but what does appear to be an increasing trend is the number of individuals that are being subjected to warrantless spying. Between this year and last year, there was a 20% increase. Over the past 5 years, we've seen a 45% increase. So the number of people who are being subjected to the FISA warrants and the number of people who just aren't being put under that at all and are just getting spied on anyways, due to, I believe it was Section 708 or something like that. I don't recall exactly. It's in this first article. They mention exactly what section it is. But that is going up significantly.
If they get like one person that they think is important enough to do surveillance on, then they have permission to go like 3, 4, 5 hops out from that person, and like 3 hops out from any one person. If you go to and you surveil all their connections, that's like 2 million people, like at least 3 hops out. You go 5 hops out, and it just gets exponentially larger.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend you guys at least take a little bit of time, just look into at some point how FISA works and FISA warrants. Just familiarize yourself at least with the general idea of how that process works. And then the second one here, I didn't put any notes on it, just because it's not been confirmed by an independent source. It was like some UK news group found something at CNN, republished it, and there's like, we couldn't verify anything, no one would comment, but apparently there was a FISA warrant put out to Verizon in order to collect millions of Americans' phone records. And because of the way the FISA warrant is, Verizon could not say anything to anybody, so they can't say who's got their data being collected, they can't say exactly how many, and it started, I believe it was April 30th, and it's going until about mid-July, and so that's just a thing that can happen.
There's a really great 2-series Frontline documentary that has like Michael Hayden, who was the former director of the NSA and I believe CIA, was director of both at one point, and a lot of other high-ranking officials interviewed, like not dramatized, but interviewed on camera. And it's a 4 hours, 2-hour documentaries. And in the documentaries, I mean, they talk about AT&T getting a secret server put in their data center that a maintenance guy found that was literally mirroring off all the fiber of all the information, cell phones, calls, and everything, off into a separate data center just for to be used by the NSA. Some crazy stuff. So I can believe that.
Yeah, definitely.
This goes in line with their strategy of getting the big data center too, which is we're going to use our economy and the fact that we can afford to pay this much money to build a call center, you know, to project our power, you know, cyber power, by being able to collect all this information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it could be really worrying if this gets to be a trend, just because it's not like, you know, when Apple or when they started, FBI came after Apple wanting them to weaken the encryption or give the FBI a key so they could just get in whenever they wanted. That was very public. It was very in people's faces. Apple was very public in protesting it. This, Verizon can't say anything. They can't make any comments on that.
Was it 2013?
Yes, yeah.
Probably happened.
It's probably happened several other times, yeah.
AT&T's already come out and just basically said, okay, we'll do it voluntarily. So then that's your two major carriers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Makes less trouble for them. Makes less trouble for them, you know.
And if no one knows that they're doing it, no one's going to get mad at them for it. On this next one, Twitter is working on an end-to-end encrypted messaging system. So if I want to say something to AJ, but I'm pretty sure that the FBI and the NSA have got their little mirrored server going on in Twitter's back rooms, and I really don't want them to see this message that I'm going to be sending to AJ, because maybe I'm talking about, I don't know, maybe like passwords and stuff that I've got on some systems that I'm going to use. Then I don't want anyone to know what that is. You know, I don't want to take the risk that maybe Twitter's going to get hacked and someone's going to see that message. Well, what I'm going to do is it's going to get encrypted on my end. It's going to stay fully encrypted the entire time it gets sent through Twitter's network and when it's stored, and then it's going to go to AJ. And it's going to get decrypted on AJ's phone. Not even Twitter is going to know what the message says at any point in time. And this is just them kind of following the trend that's been going on. They're actually fairly slow to do this because WhatsApp, iMessage, Facebook Messenger, they've been doing this for, I think, a couple of years now. This one is a little bit different from some of the others. Like WhatsApp and iMessage are default settings that you can turn on so that every message will then be end-to-end encrypted. This one is a little bit more like Facebook Messenger, where you have to opt in to an encrypted messaging channel. So if I want to do it, I have to go to, hey, AJ's profile, messaging, let's start an encrypted chat. That's kind of how this is going to work.
You guys use Signal? They use Signal. Signal's by far one of my favorite encrypted messaging app. Like they take their security very seriously. Very seriously. They also have some very interesting encryption methods they use. Yeah, I would give it a Google.
So one thing is right now, like most of these other apps, it's currently limited to mobile only because they don't have the infrastructure set up right now in Twitter in order to do a secure storage of those keys for desktops and their web application. So that's something that we can look forward probably to in the next year or so.
Yeah, that's me. Aren't I funny? I'm not Chris levels of funny, but actually, Chris, you had the first few slides. Do you want to do those?
Sure. Took me almost 10 seconds to get that.
Huh?
What is it's reverse engineering spelled reverse. So what is reverse engineering? Generally, reverse engineering is, its actual description is applying the scientific model to anything that was man-made. So typically we think about problems, we have something that exists, we apply our thinking to it, we see what comes in, what goes out, and we play with those. So it's basically taking things that other people have made and playing with them and trying to figure out how they work. So for things like software that have been compiled down to machine code, sometimes we can't exactly look inside the box. So that's where reverse engineering comes in a lot for software. And reverse engineering is actually a very prevalent thing. So number one on that list is malware analysis. Actually uses a lot of reverse engineering because you can't exactly take apart a machine code very easily. So things like automated malware testing will sit malware in a VM, see what it does.
Which we can go over.
Yeah.
Cuckoo is like the one tool
pretty damn good at.
Yeah.
We can also
Yeah.
our servers. We should do that.
We should.
Sorry.
And kind of the other end of that is remote server exploitation, protocol spoofing. So APIs of all sorts can be played with to get them to do things that they probably shouldn't. And another big example is games. Game hacking is actually a $5 billion a year industry that no one really pays attention to. So pretty interesting space there. And protocol spoofing, if you remember the drone going down in Iran, it's believed that they used GPS spoofing to tell it was at its base, and they just kind of shred it down. So.
Yeah, that drone hack was actually a pretty big fucking deal.
Yeah.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good technology. Government technology.
Tell them what. Just some common RE tools for more software things. There are RE tools for hardware. So we got disassemblers. So you're taking machine code, you're turning back into assembly. It's one step back up. If you ever heard of IDA, IDA is a very common tool for doing that. It's very well developed, although it can be very expensive if you're using IDA Pro. And there's the Ollie debugger. I haven't used that one really at all.
But binary Ninja too.
Yeah, binary. There's a whole bunch. There's lists and lists of disassembly tools. And then you got a backend traffic inspection tools. So things like Wireshark. Wireshark is actually a reverse engineering tool, although we typically use it to just look at what's going on. Man-in-the-middle proxy Fiddler. I've never heard of Fiddler. And Charles, never heard of
I
Charles.
added those.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about those later.
All right, and then you got memory inspectors and editors. So cheat engine is probably the best example of that. I'm pretty sure everyone in this room has heard the word cheat engine. So basically what you do with that is you point at your program and it looks at the memory of the program, and you can search for certain values. You can decode and encode values to see what they're actually storing, and then you can inject arbitrary data into your program memory. It's kind of a fun thing to do. We'll probably do that a little bit next week. And process monitors. So I don't think there's one standard one for Linux machines, but Windows actually has a process monitor on their sysinternals website, where you can basically put a program into it. You can see every network call and every file operation it does, and just kind of peek at it. That's probably what more of your malware analysis tools would do on Linux. Right. Things back to you.
Let's see.
So I, as a way of an interactive demo, I did a blog post a while ago, like a year ago, where I took apart the Humble Bundle Android app. If you don't know what Humble Bundle is, it's a site where you can buy video games and ebooks and music and stuff, and they'll have them in like these ridiculously cheap bundles. And I have like an enormous library on there, and I was like, I want to build an app to automate like downloading this or whatever, and but they don't have an API, so I was like, how can I automate this without scraping the website, because scraping HTML is the worst thing ever. And then I realized, oh, they have an Android app. I bet it has some secret undocumented API. So I took that apart, and so this is sort of an interactive demo you can follow along if you want on your computer. This is, you don't have to have Kali. Kali will definitely work, but it can also work on, it should work on like any OS if you want. So the first thing you do is, actually I'm going to switch over to my laptop to do this so I can actually demo stuff. Give me uno segundo, por favor. Let's see. Let's see.
Do we need the Android app?
Yeah, if you want to download the APK so we can take it apart. So let's see.
So you would have to do this on Android?
No, you do not need to do it on Android. You can do it from your computer. That's what we're going to do. So I'll just go.
Your link takes us to Humble Bundle Android app.
Yep. Yeah, you download the APK to your computer.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not on Google Play Store doesn't allow apps that let you buy apps or that let you install other apps, so they actually just distribute it from their website. If you did want to do an app that's in the Play Store, there's this cool site where all you do is you go here, you take the link to the Play Store page for it, and then it'll download the APK for you. So the APK is basically just like the apps file, like it's Android's proprietary format for apps to be in. And so it's, besides on an Android device, you can't really do much with it unless you get a cool thing called APK tool. So let's see. APK tool, Kali might have it pre-installed. If not, here are the commands to install it. If you're not on one of the OSs I've listed here, then they have instructions on their site for how to do it. And it's a very easy tool to use. It has a bunch of like options and stuff, but there's really only one command that you actually need. So let's see. Oh god, that's teeny. That is teeny, teeny, tiny. Let's make that a lot bigger. That's readable. That's not. Let's see. So, let me remove the directory I already did this with. So I already downloaded Humble Bundle earlier. So it's literally the command you run is just APK tool D and then the file, which is humblebundle224.apk, and then it'll just sort of go. You can see here it's running some Java crap. And then it'll dump everything in a folder with the same name as the APK file. So the folder is called this, and I'm actually going to open Atom in this folder so we can sort of look around in it and poke into the files. Atom is just my text editor of choice. Can I make Atom zoom in? Can I zoom this in? All right, that's fine. To look at the directories, I'll just I can't zoom in the directory listing on the side. So to look at the directory, I'm just gonna do good old-fashioned ls. Actually, let's do it like this. So you can see there's a couple files here, and then there's a couple. Where is my dang mouse cursor? So like there's the Android manifest file, which we look at that. That tells you a lot of it. There's a lot of interest. Everything in here is kind of interesting, at least in my opinion. Let's see here. I can make this bigger. Like this tells you all the permissions it has, and if you were trying to make this app do something else, like for example, if you wanted to have your app open like a specific part of this app, you could look into the activities in here. I cannot see my mouse cursor. This is the worst thing ever.
So once we have APK tool, what do we do with it?
You just run APK tool space D space the name of the file, the APK file. And so there's like the res folder gives you all like the image resources for the app. Let's see here. Let me go back to this. Like there's the assets folder. There's a bunch of these, but the one we're interested in the most is the folder called Smali. Smali? I don't know how to say it. Let's see. So this is where all the code is, and it's in a format called Smali, which you might be thinking Android apps I thought were written in Java. What's this Smali shenanigans? Also, I just realized the whole time the live stream has not had my picture. So let me fix that. Sorry, live stream.
No, I didn't think anyone's watching.
Well, I actually wanted it so that I have the live stream on this screen and then I can see what I'm doing instead of having to look over there.
Future preference to people in front of them.
Yeah, that too. So here is all the code. You have to go in a couple directories, but here is all the code, and there's so much like code in here. It's just like a mess, and a lot of them have these awful names. So I guess what I should get into is what is Smali, and it's sort of it's a low-level language. The word assembly got deleted there. Low-level assembly-esque language, and it's basically the way Java works is instead of Java compiling to like your computer's processor, it compiles to the Java virtual machine processor, which the Java virtual machine is basically every time you run a Java program, you're running a very simple VM. And that's how Java runs on every device ever, is without having to be recompiled, is that they just write it for the virtual machine, and then they port the virtual machine to every device ever. And so Smali is basically just like the binary code converted to a text format, and it's not a very pleasant format. It's better than reading the literal like binary or hex data, but it's not very good. So here is this is a pretty useful comparison. Here's what the classic Hello World program looks like in Java, and then here's what that would look like in Smali. And you can see it's a lot more verbose. It's a lot more complicated. It's having to create CPU registers to put things in, and it's having to move things around manually, and it's a bit more complicated, but it's still readable. You can still tell what this is doing, sort of. So that's what that is. So I'm going to go back to this. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out how the app calls Humble Bundle's API, because we want to figure out that API, reverse engineer it so we can do our own things with it. And so a lot of this is obfuscated, and like the method names and class names have all been changed. But one thing that isn't changed is like string constants. So what we can do is we're searching for like a web API. So we're going to search the entire, actually I don't want to search this document, I want to search the entire directory for quotation mark HTTP, because that's anywhere that they have a reference to a URL, that's what they're going to have. So we search, and can I make this bigger? Please let me make this bigger.
Whenever we can see it.
You can see it well enough? Okay. So this is everywhere in the app that there's a URL. And so this sort of just, instantly we see a lot of things that look like API URLs. And so the first thing we're probably going to need to do is log in before we can access our library. So look, process login, that sounds good. And so this is a function, and there's a lot of crap going on here, but we don't have to actually care what exactly is going on. We can see that this is sort of taking it's calling this, it's going to make a request to this URL, and it looks like it's going to have a bunch of name pairs that go to it. We can see there's a whole, this goes on for a while, and then it does some other crap. We don't really have to care what this does. We just, basic name value pairs is, it sounds like, and I can tell you because I already did this, that it is, it's a piece of data going in a post request for HTTP. And so we can see it's saying Ajax is true, and then it's setting username to a username value, password, blah, blah, blah. It's setting all these fields. And so if I actually, oh God. This demo I started setting up like 3 hours ago, so please forgive me if it's a little sloppy. I didn't know I was the one doing this until, let's see, let me get this over here. This is a tool called Postman. Can I make it bigger? Yay, I can. It's basically if you work with curl or wget on the command line, this is basically just like a GUI for that sort of thing. And this it just makes it a lot easier to make HTTP requests by hand without having to remember the millions of flags that curl has. You can just do it visually. And so here I've already copied in the keys and values that that were in that piece of Smali code that we found, which and so I've already even filled in some of it. Username is actually your email address. Password, I'm not showing you my password, but it's I've set Postman up so that it'll send my password in that. And then the other thing we see here is that there's a CAPTCHA, a reCAPTCHA, which is Google's version of CAPTCHA, and so we're probably going to have to solve that CAPTCHA. So we need to go back to the code and figure out how CAPTCHAs work. And back in this list of results, there was actually a URL that referenced a CAPTCHA. So in order to make this not take like hours and hours, I'm sort of skipping the I tried this and it didn't work. But eventually, like one of the things you try with this URL is just plugging it in a browser. And so it turns out that this URL is actually a web page, and it's got a little CAPTCHA to solve. And what the app does is it pulls up this web page as you solve it. And so, but if we try solving it right here and hitting submit, nothing happens. And So it works fine when you do it when you use the app. So something must be different here. And so, haha, I can make inspector bigger. And so one of the ways we can figure out what's going wrong is we can use our browser's inspector tools and inspect this button and figure out what it's supposed to be doing. So this is sort of diving out of Android stuff and into web stuff, which is sort of nice for covering a bunch of different things in one talk. But we want to see what is supposed to be happening when we click this. So we go to event listeners, which is in JavaScript the way that things work is whenever you want to have something happen when a button gets clicked or when anything happens, you create an event listener. And Chrome lets you list them all. So we can look at all the ones for the click event. And we can see some of these, there's a bunch of them that are added, and some of them, a lot of like jQuery plugins and crap, just add event listeners automatically. But this one is actually in the code that's in this page. And so if we go to this line reference, there's a little bit of code here, and it says when you click the submit button, it will check if there's an Android object defined, and if there is, it will set capture response. And if we go over to the console and try, come on, let me type Android, we can see there is no Android object. And so the way Android works is if you have a web view in an app, you can inject Java code, and it'll be in an object called Android. And we're looking at this in Chrome. We're not looking at this on Android, so that object doesn't exist. But we can make it exist. So I'm going to go to, let's see, actually I'm going to go to this address, and I have, I pre-wrote the bit of code that will make this, but it's pretty simple. I'll show it here. So we can define our own Android object and our own set capture response method, and we'll just make it so that it, instead of doing crap in the Android app, it just logs the response. This is the little bit of like the random string of text that Google gives that confirms, yes, they solved the CAPTCHA, you can trust them. And so if we just paste this in here, actually I will have to refresh the page since I already submitted it. We just paste this in here. Now the Android object does exist, and so when I solve this CAPTCHA and submit, then it logs this big piece of crap string. And so, oh god, I can't see the corner because it's cut off in here. Yeah, I got it. Awesome. So now we've got, and the other thing we can see is, so that is we have two fields, the challenge and response. And so that is our response. And if we look at the original code here, which is, where was that again? Okay, let me get back to that. So if we look here, the challenge is just always an empty string. We can see, and then the response is this thing that I set to be logged in here. So yeah. So we can just leave this blank, and then the last thing is Authy token, which I have to get. Authy is a two-factor authentication app, so I've got to go on my phone and get that.
Well, is Authy for Postman?
Authy is like, Humble Bundle has two-factor authentication, and so you can have them either send you a text message or you can use the Authy app. Should I use the Authy app?
I didn't know if Postman required you to have two-factor.
No, it's a Humble Bundle thing. So I'm just getting the code from my app here is all I'm doing. So I put in. Hopefully I did this fast enough that the Google verification is not expired. And so we send, and token is required. I included the token. Screw you.
Is it Authy input or Authy token?
Huh?
Authy input or Authy token?
Yes.
Authy input. Did they change something? Because this is a year-old demo basically. Let's go peek at that other code file. Live debugging. We'll learn something. So let's see.
How'd you get the project find open in Atom?
You right-click on a folder in Atom and do search in directory.
You do that on library?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, they've gone and changed shit on me. All right, so it looks like this field name has changed, and this field does not exist anymore. An Auth token. I bet it's this one that's just called code. So now we'll update the Auth token, and by now my Google verification has surely expired, so I will have to do that again. Eventually, they're going to start making me solve those stupid, like, picture riddles if I keep doing this.
They always make me solve it.
Yeah, well, you probably earned it somehow. I don't know what you did, but I'm sure you earned it.
It's like click the 4 sides.
It's not even.
Hey, look, success equals true. So now we're logged in. And wow, they didn't used to show the last 4 digits of my credit card on here. Okay, that's on YouTube now. Cool. They did not used to do that. They have changed. They've changed things. Great. Okay. Whatever. It's only the last
so
4.
If you have like a whole bunch of people's emails and passwords and stuff, maybe you could.
Yeah, and most people don't have 2-factor auth on like I do, so you don't even need that bit of it.
Has admin access false?
Huh?
Can we change that? Has admin access?
No. It's just telling the app that I don't. This is like client. If we change that, it'd just be making a client side change. It didn't let us post whether or not we have admin access. It just told us whether or not we do. And so we can continue to go through the rest of these links. You can see that it'll be like links that oh no, I didn't want to go to that. That are related to getting the list of orders and stuff like that. And so hopefully they haven't changed this, but it should be now that I'm logged in and have the appropriate cookies so that I can do this. Please work. Hey, and it gives me my my list of all the games that I have in terms of the keys. And then there's another thing I can do where just the key, but then you can take that key and put in another request and get this and get this bit of information. And so this is, I guess, the Warner Brothers game bundle. Why did I buy this? And it's telling me it's got all this data, and let's see if I can find a better one that actually has the real juicy stuff. Here we go. This is the game VVV, or the letter V 6 times. And you can see it's got the actual download links I want, and it's
Check some on there too.
Yeah, it's got everything I want. So with all this together, I could build an app that could download my whole games library.
Does their API have any post functions? Can we do anything? Can we give them anything?
Logging in was a post function, but
That's all.
that's pretty much the only.
You can probably change your credentials.
Huh?
Change password.
I don't think there is, because their Android app is the simplest piece of crap ever. So it doesn't do much at all. For the longest time, it was like they didn't even make it in Java originally. It was just like web pages in an app, and like I don't even know. It's slightly better than that now, but it barely does anything. The only other endpoint that I had that I found interesting, this one doesn't even require authentication. This one will show you the currently ongoing bundles. So I guess right now there's War Games. Oh, what's War Games actually? That sounds relevant to us. But and CryEngine. So that's how I took apart that app. So now I could build my own app. So I made that super brief. If you look on the site, I have a blog post where I like went super in depth.
It's badass.
If that's the kind of thing that tickles your fancy.
That tickled my fancy.
I'm really creeped out right now, but okay. This is a slide I forgot to show that just said what Postman is, but I told you that. Oh yeah, so I was gonna try and if we have a little bit of time, which I'm gonna. Yeah. So I was gonna. There's some other stuff that you can dive into that. Another approach I could have taken was, instead of taking apart the app, since it's just HTTP traffic, I could have intercepted that traffic and just run the app. I wanted to do a demo that people could at least sort of do on their machines, so I didn't want to say everyone install an Android emulator or bring your Android phone and set. That was just going to be a nightmare. But I can sort of show that off a little bit here. I'm going to use it. I also don't want to install an Android emulator, so I'm going to use a different app as a target. Do you guys know about like UC's WEPA printing thing? And they've got like this app that you can install. Well, let's say we want to reverse engineer that and take it apart. So what we might do is
Print all the things.
yeah, if we want to like automate printing or something. So I'm going to use Charles. Another reason I didn't do a demo of this is Charles is the only man-in-the-middle proxy that I'm experienced with, and it's only for Mac and costs money, so I wasn't going to. If you could use MITM proxy, which is free and works on every OS, but I put this together in 3 hours. I didn't want to learn a new thing in 3 hours, so what I'm going to do is this is now set up to intercept all HTTP requests. It's set up like in system preferences to proxy everything to here. And if I go into it, even my computer has like an SSL certificate installed from this that it trusts as a root certificate, so it can even see through SSL. It decrypts SSL, and so I can see it, and so I can actually go in here and tell it to decrypt all SSL requests on WEPA Now's domain name. And I'm also going to filter to WEPA Now because right now you're getting a bunch of crap in here. And so, like when I click right here, you can see a bunch of requests come up, and I'm not going to click on this one related to logging in because I don't want you guys stealing my UC account and my printing credits. But we can go here and we can see that would be the first thing you'd do if you were actually trying to take this apart. You can see, so this is the URL you call if you want to get the list of files that you have in your thing, and you can see here, these are two. Oh, please let me like make this bigger.
Be a good man in the middle. You did a man in the middle to be able to catch people's web.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna copy this over here so I can make it big. So this is the list of my jobs that are waiting to print. So we just found the request that lets you do that, and so you can see I have a print job waiting for me to print out the Cyber UC flyer. So I've got that in my print queue.
Well, you Cyber, what's this shit?
I didn't name this file. You can blame Trey for that. I didn't rename it after I didn't rename it after I downloaded it from Slack, so blame him. What is this? This pulls up information about me. I'm just sure I don't know what's going to be in here, but I'll just make it so you guys can see it. Sure. Yeah. So look, it's everything.
You're a level 0 user, dude.
Oh, dude, I am. That sucks. Let's see.
Your virtual first is 0.
There we go. I fixed it.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's another tool in your toolbox. Is you can use tools like Charles, Fiddler, and Midem Proxy. They're all the same thing, just different flavors of the same thing to do that. And then the other, I'm going to quit Charles so it stops intercepting everything. The other thing is, I touched on this a little bit with the capture thing, but the developer tools in your browser can be pretty useful. And this is another silly demo. I've made fun of United Soccer League's crappy website before when I pointed out their robots.txt file a few weeks ago. But this is another thing where, let's say they've got this list of players here, and I want this as like a spreadsheet. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have to scrape this website. What?
we should become players.
It used to. I'll get into that. It used to be possible to make yourself a player on this site. And so one of the best options in Chrome's developer tools, and I imagine Firefox has something similar, is let's see where it is. Log XML HTTP request, which is just log all HTTP requests. I don't know why I don't have it on by default because it's the most useful thing ever. I just always have it on. And so if it only logs while the console's open, so I'll refresh the page with it open. And you can see all these requests getting logged. I need a drink of water. I've talked for so long. So you can see all these requests that are getting made. And there's a whole bunch of them. The one that caught my eye, I wasn't even looking for anything in particular. The one that caught my eye was they're calling to sheets.google APIs. So I was like, what's this? And it's the whole list of players as a JSON file, but this is only going to be like 100 of them probably. Oh, it might actually be the whole thing. So we could stop here, but I was like, I know what Google spreadsheet is. And so sure enough, if you take this is like the key. If you take this key right here and put it in like the URL for a spreadsheet, and you replace the key here with that key. Then, hey, look, it's their Google spreadsheet. It is now set so that it's only view only to the public. When I first found this, it was not view only to the public. It was editable. And so I went in and I put like an underscore in someone's name for a sec, refreshed the page, and there was an underscore in that guy's name. And just for fun, I put in script tag console.log test, close script tag, went over to the site, test showed up in the console, and I was like, oh my god. and then I went into it. Now you can't see the list of people it was shared with, but when it was public, there was actually a list of like 10 people who worked there it was shared with, so I just emailed all 10 of them, and I was like, fix this now, please. Dear God. So they fixed that, but you can still get to this spreadsheet. And yeah, if you wanted a database of all the players in the USL and like photos of all of them.
You're on the public tab, and there's a not public tab.
Oh yeah, I always try and peek in. This is you can see none of these are players who are actually not public yet, but this guy is like the most recent signing. So I think they put players here before they actually get signed. So if you were watching this closely, you could probably see signings a few days before they go public. So I do appreciate that they tell me which ones are the ones I'm not supposed to know about. I'm glad you mentioned that because I totally forgot about that. Yeah. No, yeah, this guy is like I bet if I literally Google his name, he just got signed. I'll bet. Let me freaking copy this. Zachary Tashje.
That's a stupid last name.
You're a stupid last name. Let's see. See, he's on Richmond Kickers. Problem is that no one cares about the Richmond Kickers. So. Oh look at here his signing was in the past month. So this is that's why he's in the not public tab and he's the most recent one there because he just got signed. So yeah, that's always fun. So yeah, that's just a random smattering of tools that I felt like demoing. So that's all I got.
That's pretty good though. That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, I've huh?
We need to do more stuff like this.
Yeah. So if you look on the what you do, I put links here. I'm trying to take advantage of the website being public. So this is information about all this stuff, and then there's the slides here, which has all the links and stuff. So yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna close this down.
Thank you, Hayden.
Yeah, sure.
So at this point, it's 7:35, and y'all want to see the lab?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Can you give me like 5 minutes to pack up my shit?
Yeah, sure.
Bye, YouTube.